I wanted to ask about Game 6 in Boston when White hit the shot at the end. What was going through your head?
We're definitely winning game 7.
Right away.
My first thought was like, oh, like they got bailed out. We're for sure going to win. And I think that was
Hold
the
on,
overall.
hold on. Boston got bailed out?
Yeah, he had the tip in game 6 in Miami, no?
Yeah.
I'm just saying they kind of bailed you guys out.
I don't know, man.
To even be back in the game.
I rolled my ankle pretty bad game 4, and I felt about that trying to come back. And I came back, got a immediately, and then that thing was like, no, you're done, man. Have a seat. So, I mean, I felt good about game 4, despite how it was going. With me, no injury, I felt like we would have made a good push down that stretch. But there was no waiver of confidence for me going into game 7 in terms of our team. Obviously, there's that slight thing in the back of your mind, like you don't want to be the first team to lose an 3-0 lead, but I had full faith in our guys, and me playing the Ed Sheeran Luke Combs song was going around viral for a bit. Life goes on. And after hearing the lyrics, I was like, oh yeah, maybe that was a little bit much, but great song, not to plug Ed Sheeran any more than he may need, but
Jason,
he agrees,
who has many titles and is on the Zoom with us, just wrote in the group chat, great song. Jason's a huge Luke Combs guy. Gabe, you guys played. I'm actually so curious, and you're not on the Heat anymore, and I know you're still an active player, so I know you're going to be politically correct when you answer this question, but I do want at least some level of insight from you on this, because
I'll do my best.
I'm very curious about the Boston Celtics and going up against them in the playoffs, because I think they're a really good basketball team. Obviously different coaches between last year and this year. But there are some serious issues in terms of late game execution. What did, like, the preparation for them, the messaging from Spo, like what do you think their overall sort of weakness or attack point is that allowed you guys last year to get it to game 7, to get it to a 1-game possession, and then this year to beat them? And that by the way, I'm just so we're clear, this is not me saying, oh, they were the better team and you guys, played out of your mind. I mean more like strategically, like there is something that you guys, were able to capture in terms of how to compete against them and beat them.
Yeah, I think first off, Boston is a hell of a team and was a hell of a team the last 2 years. With those two guys and Tatum and Brown, they just raised a lot of havoc for the defense. But it almost seemed like, to me, truthfully, like they had something going on over there. Despite of our game plan, so much has to go right, I feel like, to win in this league. And if you're not fully right internally, I feel like it shows in different ways. And I obviously don't know if they were right internally or weren't, but that was kind of the feel I had. And there were moments of attack, whether it was, we try to get the right matchup. Like you mentioned before, that's kind of how the NBA is played now. You get the right matchup and you attack. Jimmy kind of leading the way with his paint touches, and Bam trying to be aggressive. And most importantly, we just try to keep them out of transition. I think that was a huge one, and a huge one for us. We were not a good transition team at all throughout the whole season. And especially with them, it was like, if we can get you in the half court, we have a chance. But if you guys get out and run, you got Tatum, Brown getting 10 points each in transition, each of them are going to have 30. And that's tough. That's tough to overcome. And they're going to get hot from 3. Tatum is a guy who could have 40, 50 any night, and same with Brown. And so when they kind of have that offensive firepower and great role players that were, leaders of their team, and Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon that are, kind of playing a secondary role, that's what made them so dynamic. But I think last year they were better defensively when we lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. And this past year, defensively, something just didn't seem as right, whether it was their rotations or their connectivity, whatever the case may be. But I think any bit of weakness we saw, we just kind of just jumped on it.
Tommy, Gabe just used the word. He used the word. This is what I talked about all series long.
He says the same word. You can say it.
Connectivity. Dude, I talk about this all the time, but like in your series this year, this is what I was saying. And like I used it actually in reference to the Boston Celtics defense.
Really?
Because they have the switchability, they have the individual defenders, but there was a connectivity issue that was lacking. And on that note, because they were so good in the regular season, and you guys beat Milwaukee, who had the best regular season record this year. And obviously Giannis missed whatever he missed, a game and a half, 2.5 games, whatever it was. But I do think there's a difference between a really good regular season team and a really good playoff team. And you now have been a part of 2 finals teams, an Eastern Conference Finals team that got to Game 7. In your opinion, what makes a good playoff team beyond just a specific matchup in a series? Like, there seems to be some common elements to a good playoff team versus a good regular season team.
Well, I think the first thing to not just to toot your own horn with connectivity, but just connection overall. And I think it shows in the way the guys, interact with one another. Like I mentioned before about sacrifice, it shows with how they're cheering each other on, how you celebrate each other's success. All those little things that you may not think were important throughout the year really show when it comes crunch time, when things get hard. And I think for us specifically this season, we had a lot of close games, so we were very comfortable in a close game down the stretch. It's something we saw countless times that went either which way, you know what I mean? So we kind of knew how to handle that. It went the other way, we can kind of bounce back. So you have some experience in close games. You know how to play with a lead. You know how to play from behind. You have a good mix of veteran guys and young guys who just don't know what they don't know. They're just out there. And some of that you could say with myself this year. Maybe I didn't know what I didn't know, and I'm just out here hooping. And this is Game 2 of the finals. So what? I'm just out here getting a bucket. Doesn't matter. And sometimes the lights can get too bright for some people. But not knowing what you don't know can be helpful. And then having guys that can lead the way and reel you in, championship experience and a Kevin Love, and say, look, guys, we can relax and have a good time right now, and then lock back in, and kind of have a good balance and good feel for what's going on.
Yeah. Duncan, when he came on, we did a little finals preview show. We had Duncan on and Michael Porter Jr. on. And he said basically like the mood of the team, the locker room just kind of like did a 180 after Kevin joined the team. And sometimes it's not necessarily just because Kevin's Kevin. I mean, Tommy and I both know Kevin, but sometimes it's just like getting a different voice, getting a different energy in the locker room. I personally refuse to believe that Kevin Love being in the locker room made that much of a difference, but that's whatever, that's just,
just had to say it.
Yeah. You couldn't let that one go without.
I should have pointed that out to Duncan, but whatever. It's all good.
But Kevin, on a series, he did change everything just seemed to get a little lighter. Obviously his efforts on the court were inspiring. But a lot of what he did off the court, the connections he made, just helped move the needle a bit more and build a little bit more confidence, I think, in everyone in that locker room.